I had co-best men at my wedding. One of them I'm not even friends with anymore. It makes sense. Not friend didn't keep the wife, so why keep the rest of the wedding party?
Exactly. Get the fuck out of here.
But they actually both of them like with even with their powers combined, they actually did very little.
I feel like I've thrown like boys' night out parties better than these guys did.
ALPHANUMERIC! Why'd you do it? You're prepared for a giant monster made entirely of nulls stomping around mainframe? How do you plan for that?
Lucky guess?
I don't know what part that is because I don't give a fuck about trains. There's whipped cream where we're going, boys.
An icosahedron.
Icosahedron every day.
Sometimes twice a day.
Welcome back, humans, to episode 50 of Alphanumeric, a reboot podcast, the world's foremost reboot podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Lady Glitch.
And I'm the second hostess with slightly less mostest, NeoCal.
And I may or may not be the copy of Christopher Siege.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It depends.
Give you something to think about there.
Can you read this game that we're in currently?
This game that we're in currently. You mean this the game of life, or are we talking about this rap game, or are we talking about it's time to play the game, and fucking Triple H like comes to the ring.
It's time to play the game. That was hype, man. When he went by the game. You're kind of going through your own the game phase right now.
Am I?
With the siege.
Oh yeah. That's something. My gimmick, my Christopher Siege gimmick was starting to get stale, so I knocked heads with creative a little bit, and we decided to like bring back an old gimmick from like the Attitude Era, you know.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley only like has a certain ring to it, a certain 100 or 2 times.
I guess I was going by the Siege during the Ruthless Aggression era.
We don't talk about that.
Oh no, shit, man. The Ruthless Aggression era was fucking great. That was like the what was it, the SmackDown 6, Kurt Angle and like Edge and Eddie Guerrero, and that was like the rise of like fucking Bork Laser and John Cena. And no, that was the post Attitude Era of WWE was pretty great.
Right as like John Cena, and you know what? I had such weird mixed feelings about Eddie Guerrero. I'd be like, man, this guy's great, and then like a couple of weeks go by, and I'm like, fuck this guy.
Latino heat. I was never super into Eddie Guerrero, honestly, but I can't deny that he was truly one of the greats. So rip in peace, Eddie. We know you're listening up there in heaven.
Yeah, rip in peace. And that's when I started falling off the wagon. On the wagon? Falling off the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Of wrestling.
You fell off the wagon and started drinking the Kool-Aid from Real Sports.
Started drinking the Kool-Aid from Call of Duty and other competitive. Oh man, I can't believe. Yes, I played a lot of Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Black Ops maybe.
Yeah, it was just, it was after like SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, like they kind of peaked there, and after that you're like, well, you know what, time to move on to Call of Duty. I guess my time here with pro wrestling is done.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't hold on. Should have just kept holding on.
Yeah, we're already like kind of off the rails here. So
Lady
Glitch.
Welcome to episode 15 of our WWE podcast.
Yeah, so Lady Glitch, what are we talking about this week?
So we are talking about the penultimate episode that was published of season 4 that we know of. In the States down here, it's episode 7. It's called Null-Bot of the Bride. Up there in Canada, as I understand, it was split into 2 movies of 4 episodes apiece. And this is the beginning of the second hour-ish of the second movie.
Around 45 minutes or so in, yeah. And it in the US and A aired in on November 23rd, 2001, and in Canada as part of the second movie, My Two Bobs, aired on November 25th, 2001.
Oh shit. Exclusivity.
Yes.
Yeah, only a 2-day exclusivity.
So the gist of this episode, people getting married.
Yeah, they are.
But a lot happens in the second half.
A lot happens in this episode in general. I'm going to reveal a very, very little known fact about the Siege here, but I actually really like weddings.
Aww.
And that's not something that I ever talk about very much, but I really like weddings. I tend to like wedding episodes of things. I like movies centered around weddings, I
knew. But I've also known Siege for
well, and Cal around there, sure. About that, yeah, pretty close. 14? Yeah, 14, yeah. 2008. Yeah. Close enough, damn it. And and one of my favorite comedies of, at this point, all time, but it's definitely one of the best comedies of the 21st century thus far, and I know we've talked about it on this podcast specifically, but I Love You Man, starring Paul Rudd and Jason Segel, and that movie ends with a fucking wedding. The plot is the plot is predicated on the fact that the protagonist of the film is getting married, so lots of weddings involved with that film, and yeah, I like weddings. I like media involving weddings.
On paper, that movie is nothing special, but it goes to show sometimes the cast completely.
No, it's an immensely formulaic buddy movie.
Yeah, on paper, you're like, eh.
Structurally, it is a very 1, 2, 3 by the numbers buddy movie. But you know what? They do it well, so that's fine. That they don't need to reinvent the wheel with it.
And much like this episode, what was it? It was last episode of Alphanumeric, or the one before. I was like, I kind of can see what's going to happen here, but let's.
I object.
Yeah. And even down to the little detail of, we're talking about this episode of who the imposter may be, because who else could it be?
Right at this point.
Megabyte.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
The episode opens with Dot being fitted for a dress.
Yeah. It's a girls' day at the dress shop. It's great.
Yeah, and she's got Mouse there. Mouse is finally in person in this movie, and not just through a vid window.
Although it would have been a pretty funny meme at this point if she was in the dressing rooms and still just a vid window, just for no fucking reason.
Still, see, that would have been a great kind of a great meta joke. Yeah. In reference to the fact that a lot of the times in sitcoms in particular, and they like to poke fun at sitcoms in this show. Yeah. A very common thing was if you would see if an actor was unavailable or whatever, you would see characters talking to them on the phone a lot, and they would talk about the character, but you would never actually see them on screen. Or if you saw them on screen, it would always be just a cutaway, archive footage or something like that. So that would have actually been a funny gag if in this scene, Mouse was still just on a vid window.
The rest of the show, just keep her in vid windows for no reason, and every once in a while just put ray tracer video bombing.
Yeah, just fucking around in the back. Speaking of fucking around, so we got Andrea is here too, and they're all like in this like fitting room that's like surrounded by curtains, and Cecil is trying to get in, but they're trying to they're trying to stop him, and I don't really understand why.
Yeah, he's the gay best friend, though.
He's like, I'm the wedding planner. I go as where I please.
Yeah, they're like, Cecil, no, you can't. And then they're like, as he likes trying to get in, they're like, quick, hide the bride.
But it's only the groom.
Yeah, right. That's where I was going with this. Like, it's bad luck if the groom sees the bride before the ceremony. But
doesn't matter who else does.
Yeah, why are they?
Or maybe he wanted to not have him see what dress potentials that she could potentially download.
But he's the wedding planner.
Oh, I meant Bob. Because Bob's there too.
Yeah, but they're trying to stop Cecil.
Yeah, Bob is trying to stop Cecil.
Yeah, but you never know. Bob could be sneaky. He could be curious.
Yeah, because he's the wedding planner. It's like the table runners and like the flower decor is also based on the wedding dress. Like, if anybody is around. Also, we had joked in like season 1. It's just like, oh, his icon, it's rainbow. Haha, he's the LGBT representation. But then later we were like, or it's because he's based on this type of old Mac. But we're like, no. Christopher Siege was like, no. He's the LGBT representation, and I don't care what model of Mac he's based off of. And here
I maintained that. I think I brought that up like within the first season of this show, and I've maintained that ever since.
And well, it's a stereotype, but I mean, he's the wedding planner.
Yeah.
In this, and for, I'd say for better, not for better or worse. Like, you know, gay guys are known for fashion, being able, decor, being tidy. And so he's like fitting into this like stereotype where like he is amazing at like planning and like all of the above. So I'm like, yeah, good. And there's even something.
Let me tell you, speaking as someone who falls into the LGBT round of things, sphere of things, that I have known many a gay man who do not fit into any of that.
Sorry, media friendly.
Yes,
gay image. There we.
The will and grace, or like queer eye for the straight guy.
There you go. Where all of them are 10 out of 10 hygiene, immaculate, always camera ready,
and completely fabulous.
Making the rest of us look bad. So I don't know the mystery here. I don't know why they're trying to stop Cecil.
I don't know either, but so
oh shit, she pulls a katana on him.
Yeah, a little baby katana.
Well, because he can't figure out how to get through the curtain, and if I recall correctly, she slices the curtain open to let him in.
Yup.
And so.
Oh right, he's outraged that they want to have it in the principal office.
Yeah, the wardroom specifically.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. So they're talking about the. If I remember correctly, he says the reception, which what he's actually talking about planning here is the ceremony, not the reception. I say that, listeners, I have been married before, so I
think Siege has the most experience in getting married.
I've been engaged twice, and I have never hit the dress shopping stage, so I'm a little jealous of Dot right now.
Yeah, well, indeed, she ends up actually, like, I was surprised when we actually get the unveiling of her in her dress. Like, she actually does look great. So prop to the animators.
Oh man, it's everything I wanted.
And more.
Well, everything I wanted would have been Hex as one of the bridesmaids, but I can't get everything I want.
True.
So yeah, so they're they want to get married. They want to have the ceremony, not the reception. Listeners, the ceremony is the like, here comes the bride, da 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 part. I'm sure most people know this, but whatever.
The reception is when everybody leaves and goes to a big ass hall where they eat and do the toast.
Yeah, and do the toast and dance and get really drunk and like give like awkward speeches and inevitably like someone gets blackout drunk at the end of the night and has to be like dragged out by like 6 other people who are also quite smashed but not quite as smashed as he is. I'm speaking from experience. I've been that guy. I've been both sides of that before.
Dude, you're drunk. Give me your keys. I'm not, man. I drive better when I'm drunk. No, man. Give me your keys.
And meanwhile, I'm just like, hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go. Let's play some Crazy Taxi.
Can you tell that we were talking about Crazy Taxi in arcades?
Well, that was in the preamble actually on Patreon, so that wasn't part of the episode. So yeah, listeners, go check out the preamble for this episode. We talked we talked about arcades.
And if there should or shouldn't be alcohol in them.
Yes. So if you want to know if you want to hear our spicy takes on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. It's like a shot of fireball right in your mouth.
But less expensive.
But less
no, you said fireball.
Fireball is pretty damn cheap stuff. That's why like we all drank it when I was a teenager.
Oh man. Me in my 30s trying to take a drink of that. Memories tastes change, people.
I will do Fireball only if it's chilled, and every once in a while.
Chilled?
I've never heard of it being chilled.
Oh yeah, it's the thing we do down here in the States. Trust me, it tastes a lot better. And it goes down way smoother.
See, me being a teenager and like getting like crunk off of Fireball with my friends, it was always just us like passing the Mickey around to each other. Just as soon as we managed to like convince someone to like boot for us, usually it was some guy who was some alcoholic in his 40s who was already like half cut. We're just like, hey man, will you boot for us? And he'll be like, sure.
There you go.
And then he
only if I could party with you guys.
And that did actually happen a couple of times. Or it was like, I'll get you like a 2-6. A 2-6 is what we in Canada call a fifth, because it's 26 ounces. But in the States, it's known as a fifth. But yeah, he'll be like, yeah, I'll grab you a 2-6 of like of Southern Comfort, but I'll keep the change.
So bro.
Yeah, I fucking hate Southern Comfort, but I had a bunch of my friends really liked it.
I have grown adult friends that like it now.
I don't even know what that is, but I remember
grown adult friends.
Well, I don't even know what it means to be a grown adult, so
yeah, that's right. I say, wearing a Transformers podcast t-shirt and a Dragon Ball Z hat.
Wearing his own podcast t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, the cringiest.
I say as I have like 2 Alphanumeric shirts and a Too Much Energon shirt of my own. And I plan to get a Lasercomb podcast shirt eventually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. For next Christmas.
I don't even remember what we were talking
T-shirts
about.
for everyone next
weddings.
Christmas.
Something about Bob.
There's something about Bob. Oh, okay, so yeah, so Cecil is like getting all pissy about the fact that they want to have the ceremony in the war room, and Bob and Dot are like, oh well, this place like has a lot of meaning to us, like a lot of memories here, and Cecil is like, memories of deletion. And so the place that he picks, and I'm a hundo on his side here. The place he picks is the hall of the principal office, the main hall that has the like
White
Greek
marble and gold.
that has the Greek action and FAB rooms in it.
And it makes you, and they're like, oh, what here, really? And I'm like, does everyone else have no taste?
This is literally the most perfect place to have a wedding ceremony in all of Mainframe. Is this room?
And they're like, geez, I don't know. And it's like,
yeah.
But these are people that wear like the same outfit like every day, right? So what do they know?
I mean, Glitch Bob is still wearing his like dirty ass like web writer's uniform that he's
when he comes out.
Yeah, when he separates from Glitch later on, he's still wearing his like underneath his Glitch armor. He was still wearing that dirty ass like half degraded by the web like version of his Guardian uniform. So presumably he's had that shit on for years now.
Yeah, I was like, how come he's wearing that? And I'm like, oh, Glitch Bob. It just like went over him.
Yeah.
So homie's gonna need a shower.
I did appreciate the continuity there, though. Also, I really like the web version of his uniform.
That's your favorite Bob outfit.
Yeah.
So just in case we weren't sure who the gay characters were on the show, Rollerblade guy, Roller Boy, also works at the tux and dress shop.
Yeah, he's apparently a tailor, and he's trying to he's like taking Matrix's measurements, if you know what I mean.
It's not even, it doesn't even pretend to be weird about that. Or sorry, it doesn't even pretend to be like not pervy about it. He's like, stay still, silly. I need to see how big your measurements are. And I'm like, what the fuck, show?
Yeah, it's quite gay panic. It's gay panic humor, but I don't know. Whatever. I thought it was funny.
It doesn't linger on it too long. I think it's fine.
He wheels over to Hack Flash's area, and he's like, "How are you guys doing over here?" You hear Hack like girly screaming.
That was funny. I was like, "Who's screaming in there?" And then Hack and Slash come out, and I'm like.
And then Roller Boy comes out. He's like, "Suit yourselves. Come out when you're ready. Take that as you will."
Well, come out when you're ready. That made me chuckle.
I laughed at that. It's like, well, come out whenever you're ready. And I'm like, thanks. I feel like the show is a little ahead of it. We've all said this like 20 times, so I'm not going to linger on it. But I feel like the show knows what it is, and it's comfortable with itself in making the jokes that it does. And I feel like it's a little ahead of its time. Like I can't even think of any other animated show that is like blatant about this stuff, and not in a mocking way. You can find it aplenty. You could find a ton of like jokes targeting gay stereotypes, but I feel like the joke isn't the LGBT characters are a part of the joke rather than the bunt of the joke. The blunt of the joke.
I said brunt, B-R-U-N.
I said blunt, or the brunt of the joke.
Man, this shit's gonna be so funny, dude. I'm gonna light the blunt of this joke up and smoke a big old fat one.
He said, "Come out when you're ready."
Matrix emerges, and he is like, "I feel stupid," and Rollerboy's just like, "But you look good enough to eat."
Yeah, because Matrix is wearing a tux.
Yeah,
and I agree. And then he does something, and again, one would think I would go, "Fuck yeah," because I'm usually all about him being a stupid, edgy dude, right? Don't like the sleeveless look, and this is from somebody that wears tank tops like 9 months of the year. Yeah, I was like, dude, did you just rip the tux arms off?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much money you have, dude, but I don't think Renegade is up there as far as salaries go.
Yeah, I am a person who does it. Like, I dress very casually all the time. I wear jeans or cargo pants and t-shirts, usually with like bands or cartoon characters or the Xbox logo or what. If you watch all of our podcasts, you've seen like half the TV shirts I own, or t-shirts that I own, because I have favorites, and my favorites are the ones that I tend to wear on air most of the time.
We cycle through like 5 shirts, man.
Right now, I'm wearing my Pusheen shirt.
Oh, there we go. No,
I don't wear this one on air too.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't recall
It's been a
that
while
one.
since that one.
Um,
I'm wearing my athleisure Chicago Marathon jacket, so
but
I try to look a little put together on screen because I just want to look good. So,
but
That's
so
right.
but so like I'm a jeans and a branded t-shirt and like a hoodie and bandana or baseball cap kind of guy. But for something like a wedding, you dress the fuck up for that.
That's
Like,
why it was like,
you don't
You
rip
know,
you
I-
don't rip the sleeves off. You wear a nice, like very nice suit or a nice tux. I'm all about peak lapels on my suit jackets, peak lapels or go home. Sometimes I'll even wear
Oh, yeah.
I'll pair up my peak lapelled suit jacket with some nice slacks. Depending on the function, I'll sometimes wear like just a plain t-shirt underneath, like a dark blue, like paired up with like a black suit jacket and a fedora. And when I say fedora, I mean an actual fedora and not what everyone was calling a fedora 10 years ago, which is a trilby, which is a hat for douchebags. Fedoras are actually nice. Like, if you want to, and if you're wondering what I mean by an actual fedora, watch any mob movie. That's or
Did you
watch,
just actually explain the fedora versus trilby thing?
Yes, I did.
It took 50 episodes, folks, but we did it. No, that man, the 30s, or even if you were unemployed, you fucking wore a suit. you went out there. I wore a suit 50 hours per week, so for 10 years. So I'm kind of like, when I get home or when I'm doing something for fun or recording or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to wear 3 layers. I used to do that like all the time, day in and day out. But yes,
Right.
there is a difference between looking like a slob and, dude, it's gonna be like $200 or $300 for him to hem that fucking like tux now.
Yeah, because he just like carelessly ripped the sleeves off.
Yeah. Unlike, and if it went outside the seams, right off. That's $1,000, man.
Yeah. Quick sidebar, folks. One of my favorite Halloween costumes I've ever dressed up in was Dick Tracy a few years ago. So if anyone's curious, I'll share pictures of that on social media.
I've always felt like, Siege, you were very good at finding like Halloween costumes or like whatever you would be dressing up for that like fit that you can do well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That you have the body type for, or the jaw structure for, or like whatever. And so whenever you've done like The Crow or Dick Tracy or
Netflix Daredevil
or Daredevil, I'm like, holy shit. That's it's been really, really well done.
Oh, thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
There you go. Yeah. Have you seen Lady Glitch? Have you creeped his Instagram?
Of course, I have several times.
I've never seen.
Even before we were dating, I was creeping through his Instagram. So
You're goddamn right.
yes.
I think I actually on Facebook, not that I use Facebook much, but like on Facebook, you can have like spotlight photos on your profile. I think I have like some of my favorite Halloween costumes as most of my spotlight photos. Listeners, I also dressed up as Johnny from The Room in a costume that was very well received, especially considering I carried a football around and wore an oversized like blazer.
Exactly. It's it's wearing the right level of clothes not fitting.
Yeah.
Pull that off so well. Oh man.
Yeah, I was at Fan Expo Vancouver, and I shit you not, like a group of like 4 dudes at first. They saw me from behind, like carrying the football, and they like touched my shoulder, and they were like, "Wait, are you actually Tommy Wiseau?"
I was, I was gonna say, like, you probably could have fooled people at a glance.
Yeah. Yeah, and at first glance I did fool them apparently. But then I was like, wait, so I look like a like 70-year-old like Eastern European vampire who's trying to tell everyone that he's, 25
Eastern European
from
vampire.
Louisiana.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know that. I didn't know people walked up to you and were like, Tommy, is that you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
and
this one group of like 4 dudes. But at that fan expo too, I had like just so many people yelling quotes from the room at me.
I was gonna say, I hope you were prepared for people just yelling. So Mark.
A very common one was hey, Tommy Wiseau, did you hit her?
And
I
you
would
replying,
I would respond with, I did not.
so you were a good sport about it, even though it happened 24 times.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I love attention.
Oh, that just sounds fun. We should do something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But where the heck were we? Weddings?
Yes.
Designers?
4 weddings and a funeral.
A renegade not being able to afford the tux he just like destroyed.
Yep.
Oh, right, because what is it? Bob comes in and he's like, hey, that'll look great, like as soon as they hem the arms.
And then Matrix,
he's like, oh, Matrix, that suit will look great once it's finished.
and he looks at him, he's like,
Yeah.
what dude?
I'm going to wear my formal guardian suit.
Ooh la la, I'm wearing my dress uniform. I'm so
And he's
fancy.
like, you have to look your best. And he's like, how come? And he's like, because you're my best sprite. And it's
and
important.
you see his face softens. He's like, best sprite? Like, what?
My dude, we are going to get wasted. Yeah, so he's touched by it.
Oh, absolutely. And then Bob hands him a little thingy and says, the duties of the best sprite.
He's like, give this a download, homie. So what's happening here?
Bob tells
sorry.
Hack and or Slash to GTFO for a second. And he tells Matrix that other Bob's not doing so hot. It's like, I'm gonna have to tell Dot, maybe call off the wedding. And then Matrix is like, no, I've never seen Sis so happy. Don't tell her.
And Mega Bob is like, are you
Mega
sure we should call off the wedding? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Nothing's gonna ruin my sister's big day. And Mega Bob's like, okay.
As long as you're sure. As long as you're sure, Matrix.
As long as you're sure. Best buddy.
And then we do.
Yeah, we get a little sci-fi scene with
Yeah.
fucking Gold member. If somebody went in and made an atrocity of a creator wrestler in a WWE game, this is this Guardian in here, the Gold Guardian with the white and blue outfit.
Mm-hmm.
He is a monstrosity to behold. Like if you let your little brother create like his own like wrestler and like a create a character mode, this is what you would get. And he named him Gold Man.
There should be a Gold Man.
Thank you. There should be a Gold Man.
I'm actually not sure off the top of my head which Guardian you're talking about.
Oh, Turbo is like with a medical guardian and he's like pressing buttons and looking at his like vitals. And he tries to inject something in like
yeah.
neck.
I do remember that guy. I guess I just wasn't as horrified by him as
he's just forgettable. That's what I mean by like character creator.
So there's really nothing significant.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's generic looking. Okay, so
yeah,
I thought you meant that he was like some sort of like unholy abomination that like your like dipshit like little cousin or something would make in like WWF SmackDown versus Raw.
WWF SmackDown versus Raw. There's like a bald default dude. He didn't change any of the sliders. He just changed the skin tone to gold and then changed his armor to white and blue.
Right.
That's what that guy is.
I did like that he had 4 sprite icons on his right arm in the shape of a cross, because he's a medical sprite.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, good catch.
Yeah, and their icons are blue and black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not red and white.
This is the supercomputer, damn it.
Oh, that's right. There's a scene in the a forgettable scene in the diner where the group's all kind of hanging out before the wedding, and Dot's complaining, not complaining, bragging about like canceling and rescheduling and everything. Because Andrea's like, sounds fun.
And Dot's having a blast with it because she's, all type A.
Yeah, and she's all like, oh, immensely. So she loves planning, organizing. If something's canceled, it doesn't matter. She moves things. She do like that's her. She's in her zone. So she's her own wedding planner.
It's a very season 1 Dot happening here. I live for it.
Yeah, that's how you get the pirates to work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is where Dot asks Matrix to walk her down the aisle. It should be Dad, but because he's not there, like, she'd be honored if he could do it. And he's like, oh, of course. And immediately in my head, I'm like, well, the best man can't walk the bride down the aisle. And so fortunately, the show acknowledges that. And
there's like a glance between Bob and...
So Bob looks at, Mega Bob looks at little Enzo and is like, hey, would you be my best sprite? And he's like, sure, yeah, of course. Love to.
So there's a smooth recovery.
And he looks at Matrix and like winks at him.
Yeah. And indeed, that was a good interaction. Like, you're gonna help your sister more than you're gonna be the best man, right? Because it's like, who's she gonna ask? Fong?
Right. Specky.
Oh. And so it's like, hey, give this a download, little Enzo, because little Enzo's like, oh yeah, I'll be your best sprite. What's the best sprite?
Yeah, so Matrix gives him the README file of the like duties of the best man, and so he's like flipping through it, and he's like, hey, what's a stag? What's a stag
like
party?
Yeah, and we get to see that stag party later.
We do, and it's kind of glorious.
I actually laughed. It's them wearing like children's party hats, hanging out at the diner, eating Jell-O,
drinking soda.
Yep. Because I mean, like, what other kind of party is a 10-year-old gonna plan for you?
Right.
And be allowed to plan for you. There we go. Because even when I was 10, I was like, oh, cool. So like strippers and booze. Like, I was aware of that, but I wouldn't obviously be allowed to, nor would I have the money or the ability to organize that.
Speaking of strippers and booze, Dot Stagette. This is my kind of party right here.
You got the small town binomes dancing for her on Owl stage.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the small town binomes are back and they're doing the full Monty.
Yup.
Fuck yeah. And the big shit-eating grins that the three main female cast have.
The three ladies. Have either of you seen the movie The Full Monty?
Ooh, yeah, but I don't remember it vague. I remember it vaguely.
Best movie about strippers, in my opinion. It was nominated for a shit ton of Oscars in the mid-90s too. Like, I think it came out in like 95 or 96. I don't think
you're saying it's better than Striptease, which actually isn't about stripping.
Well, I haven't seen Showgirls. I know, travesty.
Wait, I just confused the two. I meant Showgirls.
Striptease came out at around the same time, and that one had Demi Moore in it. And that was part of that weird like phenomenon that you see in movies many times, like several times throughout the years, where it's like one studio will like get a script going, and like they'll actually like enter production on it, and another studio will catch wind of this and they'll be like, oh, we actually had this script of like, oh, they're like, oh, Universal's making an asteroid movie. We've had this script for an asteroid movie that we've just been sitting on for like 5 years. So let's do ours too and see if we can get ours out first.
And they start production first, and
yeah. So like that's happened many times over the years. So like you got Showgirls and Striptease came out at around the same time. You got Armageddon and Deep Impact came out at around the same time.
Thank you for explaining that. That makes so much sense now. Like another studio gets wind and they're like, hey, we have this script.
Yeah.
And so the copy can actually be released, can start production and filming and wrap up and be released before the movie it's like based on.
Yeah. And it's usually the movies like have nothing to do with one another other than like a similar core concept, but that's why that kind of thing has happened, and it's happened many times over the years.
Transmorphers.
Well, that's a different phenomenon right there.
That's different. That's different.
That is the mockbuster. That is a studio, the Asylum, intentionally trying to cash in on people being dumb at video stores and not knowing the difference between Transmorphers and Transformers, and hoping to make a quick buck. One would think
they would pick it up, look at the picture, and go, "That's not Bumblebee."
Nope, but
and yet,
listeners, me and Cal both worked at Blockbuster, and I worked at a movie gallery before I worked at Blockbuster when the whole mockbuster craze first started. Let me tell you, people fell for that shit, hook, line, and sinker.
The number of times I would be like, "This isn't Transformers. Transformers doesn't come out until like a month away or two or whatever," and they'll be like, "Huh?" And I'm like, Did you look at the case?
I went into
the back.
One thing that actually frustrated me though was I went into a Rogers video in 2007, and I was like, "Hey, do you have Transformers the movie on DVD?" And the guy's like, "Oh, it's not out yet, buddy." And I was like, "No, the movie came out in 1986." He's like, "No, it's in theaters right now." And I'm like, "I'm not talking about the new movie. I'm talking about Transformers the movie from '86." He's like,
"It's called The Transformers the movie, bro. It's the animated." Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, well, no, I don't think we have that." I'm like, "Well, can you look it up?" And he looked it up, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, but it's rented right now."
Okay, that's the worst video store customer service I've ever heard of. And I've worked with terrible people at Blockbuster. Yeah. And the worst isn't that bad.
Yeah, this was in the interim between when I worked at when Movie Gallery got shut down and when I worked at Blockbuster. It was less than a year, but I just couldn't believe, like, I kind of like understood the cynicism that the guy was coming from, having dealt with video store customers myself. But it's like,
Fair.
no, dude, like I told you that I explained to you exactly what I wanted, and you were just dismissing it, telling me I was wrong. But it's like, no, I actually know I'm correct about what I'm saying.
And you were?
Anyway, Full Monty, best stripper movie.
There we go. What about the scene with Selma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn?
That's not a stripper movie, though.
Where she's deathly afraid of the snake, and she had to go through therapy for like 6 months before filming just so she could put it on her shoulders.
Yikes.
I recently watched the movie, and my partner was like, "Does she seem like afraid for her life in the scenes with the snake?" And we Googled it, and kind of takes the sexiness away when the stripper suddenly like looks afraid for their life, and they completely stop dancing and they slowly lower themselves down onto one knee. Watch for that the next time you watch that movie, listeners.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for that scenes like that if you're watching Magic Mike or Magic Mike XXL.
Are there strippers being afraid is kind of my thing. Are you telling me that there's a scene in Magic Mike where they're afraid?
Baby and Magic Mike XXL. I don't know. I haven't seen either of them, actually.
Neither have
I. Speaking from real experience in that industry, there are times where we get scared. One of them is when all the lights come up in the house and we don't know why.
Oh, God.
Happened at my second club. It's like, lights come up.
Scares me.
Yeah. Or when your boot comes completely apart when you're doing a spin and trying to land, and then you wonder if you snapped your ankle or not. It happened to me. It's like, well, that just happened. So, but yeah, we
What
get our
else?
moments of scariness. Or when you fall from the pole and when you're in an inversion, you hit your head on the ground. You don't know if you die or not. So,
And it sucks because it's like one of those jobs where you immediately need to quickly be like, do I suck it up and just keep going, or do I take care of myself? And
exactly,
because I'm not getting health insurance for this shit, you know.
exactly. Like last Saturday, I whacked both of my ankles on the side of the stage, and I'm like, did I just break my bones, or is this just going to bruise over and I get on with my life? So I think I had enough whiskey that night. I just kind of numbed the pain. I just kept going.
luckily,
Yeah.
luckily they were not broken, I assume.
No, just pretty bruised. I'll send you a picture later.
We'll post it to the Patreon.
There we go. Watch those Patreon numbers go up. Feet pics. When are the Siege's feet pics coming?
I can show everyone my mutant toe, as my ex-wife used to call it.
Oh, there you go. Additional reasons why. That's weird. In February, our Patreons went from like 6 to 60.
Listeners, I actually do have a weird. It's not my toe; it's my toenail. It's because I had an ingrown toenail when I was younger, and they had to operate on it. So when my toenail grew back, it grew back one kind of overlapped over the other. It's strange.
Transmorpher. So what happens at the strip club?
Well, Mouse and Andrea are talking while Dot gets pulled up on stage, and Andrea's like, I've never seen Dot so happy. Mouse is like, well, she deserves it because she's been through a lot. And soon she gets a sock thrown at her nose.
A sock, you say?
A sock. Yes.
She
See, I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching this earlier, I kind of thought it was a condom.
A condom that big?
I mean, well, maybe a condom that I would wear, you know. A Trojan, only Trojan Magnums for me, or go home, ladies and gentlemen.
Trojan Magnums barely even fit.
Can confirm.
Barely even fit. Did you know that that is a marketing tool? They can sell those for more, even though they're only 5-10% bigger.
Oh yeah, it's all about that market.
They're longer. they're oddly longer, but they're only 10% girthier.
I had this would have been about 15 years ago. I hooked up with this girl once that I had met at a club, and I wasn't the kind of guy who would go out every night being like, oh, I'm going out to get laid and get some pussy. So I usually didn't. Yeah, no, I was never one of those guys. So I usually didn't bring just have condoms on me at all times, because that wasn't something that I was expecting to happen. But I ended up hooking up with this one chick, and all she had at her house were Trojan Magnums XXLs. Okay. And she had this basket of condoms right beside her bed, on her nightstand. And I'm like, well, this lady fucks a lot. But it was all Trojan Magnum XXLs. So, and my jokes aside about the size of my dick, it is not Trojan Magnum XXL size, as I ended up discovering that night, because these things were well, they
I thought you were making that up. There's something called Trojan Magnum XXL.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, these things were so comically large on me that they slipped right off.
But okay, I've got a lot of questions for this lady.
Okay.
Well, we know she's listening.
Yeah. One, what? No,
She's not listening.
Just
100% not listening.
just
I don't even
those-
remember her name.
Just that brand, just that size. Okay. So it's just
Okay.
like, okay, I guess she's like looking for like big guys. So does she rub up like does she test people before she brings them home? Like did she break up with an ex and it's like, well, I've got this like drawer full of these and I guess I better use them.
I don't know. I mean, like blowjobs in the back alley would be the way that you could test, like go for a test run beforehand.
There you go. That's weird.
This is becoming a saucy podcast.
I know it's becoming it's the Stagette party going on here. Let's
Yeah.
see, there's something about a sock that I missed here. What's going on?
Mouse gets hit in the face with the sock or some textile that's thrown from the stage.
Oh, okay.
Ribbed for her pleasure, undoubtedly.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So she gets on stage because one of like the stripper
One-
binomes
Yeah,
pull
it
her
pulls
up. And Mouse like smacks her ass and is like, yeah, get up there. So presumably Dot is drunk and she's kind of stripping.
Oh yeah, and when
Okay.
I first saw this 14-year-old me, I'm like, how did they let that Mouse slapping Dot's ass like through in post-production? Like that's some good shit right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait a second. So you liked ReBoot. You liked Dot, how organized Dot was. You liked it when Dot got up on stage. Okay, things are starting to make sense here. To be fair, Mouse and Dot are very good role models
Mhm.
to have.
They are.
I would say Matrix is not, but
I would agree with that. If his fashion sense, his sense of style at something as important as a wedding ceremony, if that's any indication.
that's one of the few times Siege and I are like, you know what, you lose points this time, Matrix.
Yeah.
But he comes through at the
yeah.
actual wedding later. He's actually wearing a full suit and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't rip the damn arms off. So somebody pulled him aside and was like, dude, don't look like a slob, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta have the tough conversations with him.
There's kind of this intimate convo where Megabob compliments Cecil.
Yeah,
And
because
he's like,
Cecil does
"Hey."
a fantastic job decorating the Great Hall. It's fantastic.
And indeed, this could be Odin's Great Hall. It looks so great. It would just need to be made entirely of gold.
Entirely of gold, like a lot more mead and
Yeah,
like,
a lot of tables, a lot of unruly and honorable Vikings all sitting around singing songs and drinking mead.
yeah, a lot of dirty a lot of dirty dudes with beards.
Yeah. That would be the Golden Hall right there.
Yeah, Cecil would never let them in.
No.
So I like that Mega Bob forces Cecil to take the compliment. He's like, no, Cecil, I'm being serious. And they shake hands and Cecil's kind of like, oh, okay. Well, you know what? Thank you. It's a gift.
Yeah. Monsieur Bob.
And
Oh,
there's this,
Bob's like, oh, we almost kind of had a moment there.
like,
You know?
are we? Is there like a
It's like
moment
we're
there?
performing with each other.
Cecil's like, yeah, you're right. And Mega Bob's immediately like, I don't like it. And Cecil's like, me neither. And they both turn their back to each other.
He said, moi aussi.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, moi aussi is me also en français.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching it now. Lol.
Yeah, I'm Canadian, so I've heard. Well, I also know people like I know people who will spout out like just French phrases.
Yeah, I don't even register all of like Cecil's French stuff because it's also recognizable.
Yeah, so when he said that, I was like, oh, I was like, huh, yeah, he was saying, yeah, me too.
That's why I just summarized it. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't even think about it. My uncle, who doesn't even speak French, would like say like French little sayings all the time.
Mhm. When I get angry at work, I start spouting off in French to guests that speak Spanish.
Oh, you know what? Like, it's one of those things where, fuck, man, don't be a douche and speak a language that the patrons or vice versa, the workers are at. Don't, even if it's like meant well, you just don't. And 90% of the time, it doesn't mean well. They're talking shit behind you. I worked at hospitality, and like, man, the number of times people would be at the front desk and then like turn to the person they're with and like complain about you into their face in another language. And whenever there was someone at the front desk that could like understand it or pick up on it or whatever, and they reply back, it was great. Like the head of housekeeping is like a German lady, and German guys were like, oh, complaining about how like slow and like how what is it, like kind of like dim-witted like Canadians are, and they like can't compute like complex tasks or whatever. And the head of housekeeping is there too, like getting some papers for the day and getting me to print some stuff for her, and she immediately replies back to them in German. And when the stars align like that, I'm like, and they left, and they like they left for like the day, and I'm like, oh, what did they say and what did you say? And she was like, she was just like, oh, like, I'm sure, she responded, she's like, oh, I told him, oh, he's trying his best, but your English isn't that great. And I'm like,
oh, nice.
I love the head of housekeeping, best lady ever. Anyway, sorry, my little rant. I love that kill with kindness. I love that kill with kindness technique.
Absolutely. Like every once in a while, like, I'll call for a Spanish translator. Like I will make friends with a guest whose English is incredible, but also like the dominant language is Spanish. So we make a rapport. I go to another group to, you know, chat them up, see if I can get a dance or whatever. And if they start rapidly speaking to me in Spanish, because I know a couple of like very basic phrases to get me along, but if they start speaking rapidly, I'm like, no comprendo un momento, por favor. And I'm like, I got to get a translator. So I call the other guy over, and it's like, he's trying to tell me things. Can you please tell me what he's trying to tell me? Because I don't get it.
Well, that's nice. You got some.
This sounds like the great beginnings of a threesome scenario. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that you were like, no comprendo. You could have hammed it up more and been like, no comprendo, por favor, por favor. Like pull a Hank Hill and
no, that's the way
Peggy Hill. Yeah, Peggy Hill like is the Spanish substitute teacher, but she pronounces everything like a red-blooded American, damn it.
Gosh dang it.
So what happens here? Glitch Bob dies?
No, or
pirates come to the wedding? What are we?
We are swimming in the subconscious, and he's staring up at Glitch, his actual key tool, and he looks at himself and he's like, am I real or am I just the copy?
Yeah,
and
he's
Glitch,
he's in the conduit on the computer of the Nebuchadnezzar. That's what it looks like. Yeah, the Matrix, specifically the Matrix 1. That's what it looks like. The just like the white void.
Yeah, when Morpheus pulls him into the construct.
Yeah,
just to give him the rundown of the history and the viewer the history of Earth, and
and then later on when Neo and Trinity like go into the construct to
I need guns,
lots of guns. Yeah. So he's on a bed and there's a giant ass like fucking glitch above him.
That's trippy.
And the glitch like breaks apart, if I recall correctly, and it turns into all of the Guardian's key tools.
What the? Yeah,
and outside of his body, like he seemingly dies, and so create a wrestler medic is like, oh well, he's gone. There's nothing. We did all we could for him.
He's dead, Jim.
And Turbo is just like, I know, son. I know. You did everything you could.
Well, waste not, want not, throw his body in the trash compactor.
But then he like starts glowing, and The out of his body, the shell emerged like the all of the Guardian key tools, and they spray this like light on him, and
after he's pronounced dead.
After he's pronounced dead, but now he's back to life, and we see him back in his like web degraded version of his uniform.
Yeah, and Turbo's like, "By God, it's a miracle!" And
Copeland, you're back.
Copeland like, whips over and goes back to his arm because they've been missing the whole time.
Yeah. And while all that's going on behind the scenes, we cut back to the Great Hall where all of our guests are coming in for the wedding.
Pirates are here. Mr. Christopher is here. But
there's a scene that we missed actually where Fong and Enzo are talking about Nullman, the null of Nullman Matrix.
Right, and he touches it. Little Enzo touches it. It shocks him, like nulls have been seen to do. But something happens with his icon.
Yeah, his icon goes back to normal. So whatever hexadecimal did, imprinted into his icon, it transferred to the null of Wellman Matrix and actually like gave him his consciousness back and allowed him to communicate as a null. And so I was wrong. He was
able to do that because of Hex.
Yeah, So I was wrong last week. I referenced him being like a null as a head in a mech suit. That was actually in this episode. I was just like misremembering like where that actually happened.
Well, he was he was a bunch of nulls like ballooned together.
He was, yeah.
Like but now it's just the single null.
Yeah. And
he gets to walk out down the aisle.
He gets to walk out down the aisle at
weird.
the wedding. Yeah, he's in this mech suit that looks like it has a Transformer spark right in the middle of it.
Oh shit. That is absolutely a spark.
It looks like a spark from Beast Wars.
Hell yeah. Oh, little Enzo's hair is combed. He's looking a little Bondish.
Yeah, like in season 3.
I was gonna say, like we've seen that before.
The only unrealistic thing I would say about this is that the Andrea and Mouse's bridesmaids gowns aren't hideous.
No, and they're actually in each other's colors.
I love that.
Yeah.
Andrea's wearing like the pastel pink, and Mouse is wearing the teal.
I was also gonna say they don't match, so that's another faux pas.
They match in style though, but not color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it more. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I like it more.
Something I want to point out while Dot is walking down the aisle, we get some music that is undoubtedly some wedding type music that is undoubtedly composed by friend of the show, Bob Buckley.
And I love the variation of this music because he takes the bridal chorus from Wagner's Lohengrin opera from 1850. And we all know this is the Here Comes the Bride theme, but it's a variation thereof. You can hear the Here Comes the Bride, and then it goes into a melodic spin on it. And then
it's a little bit off.
Yeah.
Well, and something I was going to point out is Here Comes the Bride is actually not a public domain piece of music, much like the Happy Birthday music. Somebody owns that shit. That's why in a lot of movies and TVs, you hear people sing like variations, like do variations of Here Comes the Bride or variations of the Happy Birthday song. It's a way of like, you know what they're like, what it's evoking, but it's a way that they don't have to pay royalties.
Yeah.
You both, you both just taught me something there.
I learned that in school.
Huh. That makes sense. I think that's dumb that somebody owns it, or a company or a family or whatever owns it. But now I get why it's always off a little.
Yeah.
And why Bob Buckley had to do his little variant of it.
Yeah. But I enjoy the what he's composed for this.
Yeah, now that you pointed it out, I'm like re-listening to it.
It's beautiful.
Good for him. He is a man of many colors.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Buckley. He can do everything. Like if you've watched Beast Wars, Beast Machines, and Reboot, man oh man, he can do everything.
And Shadow Raiders, for that matter.
Oh yeah, shit. Oh well, yeah. The Shadow Raiders intro is like one of your one of the ones you're most hyped for.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite theme songs to a show. Man, when we interviewed him on episode 43 of the podcast, like the little anecdote about the flute, like that was great. I was not expecting, like, going into that interview, I was not expecting like to find out shit like that.
And he even like reaches over and I love that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so it's less like, hey, peaceful flute music.
Listeners, if you haven't listened to or watched episode 43 of Alphanumeric, I implore you to go do that because it's a really good and lengthy interview that we did with Bob Buckley, the guy behind the music of all of the mainframe shows at the time.
Well, a number of exclusive like intel was explored there. I mean, like he gifted us End the World, his unreleased Reboot soundtrack. Yeah. With his original compositions, which I'm almost 100% sure has touched the face of the internet. So
I think me putting them on the YouTube the Lasercomb YouTube channel, I think that might be literally the only way for the masses to actually listen to,
until it inevitably gets ripped and
listen to like high quality like CD quality music from the show that's completely isolated. It's just the music. It's not like ripped from the show
and longer
or anything like
compositions of iconic
and
music.
He gushed about how he wanted that to be like his baby project and be totally
I would
public.
too. Man, it's like he assembles that and then it doesn't get released. And it was, to him, it was more important too that it's heard and that fans like listen to it. So
right,
that was rad. That more than the inside scoop, it was just actually really cool of him. Like he's a super cool dude.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of super cool dudes, so the wedding ceremony gets underway, and the thing that we predicted last week that was going to happen happens. I object. So
yeah, he does.
Yeah, so they during the ceremony, like Fong is the officiate. Fong is like, oh yeah, if anyone knows any reason why these two can't be married, and then through a portal from the supercomputer outsteps Cheetor Bob, and he's like, I object. Dot, I love you. You can't do this. And she's
Mega
like,
Bob is like, get out of here, copy.
Punches him in the face.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. He's like, man, I've had enough of this guy, and just fucking punches him. And I'm like, that's not very Bob-like.
If anybody was questioning,
you fakey McFaker,
fake phony. He's a big fat phony.
He's a fake.
Fake.
I do.
And
the sun came up without him. That was a very subtle reference to the movie Rockadoodle right there.
But the sun came up without him. Wow.
You're a phony. He's a fake. Get out of here, Chanticleer.
Oh man, we're back references, Rockadoodle Doo references. We got it all, folks. So what happens is Dot breaks them up and she's like, hey, literally the worst time for this to happen. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And Glitch goes over to Mega Bob. And Glitch Bob is like, oh.
Well, and Enzo is like not understanding what's going on. Enzo is like, but sis, he must be the real one. He's got Glitch. And Dot, like, to her credit, like, I like this. She's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he's not the real one. And like, no, I appreciate the sentiment that like she doesn't care. Like, this is the Bob she's decided she wants to be with, and like it doesn't matter if he's real or not. I'm like, you know what, good on you, Dot. Although this Bob's kind of a dick, so I don't know what. Yeah. Anyway, and we just saw him punch Cheetor Bob, and that's
not the Bob that you would have fallen in love with.
Yeah, that doesn't raise any red flags with you, Dot. Like, come on.
And the final like nail. Go ahead.
As Cheetor Bob's like going back up the aisle, he looks back, and the puppy eyes that he gives of just rejection and sadness like tears me apart. It's like, ugh.
And when that happens, it's because Glitch leaves him and goes to OG Bob.
My pool abandons me. Like,
and he's like, I guess that decides it then. I'm
the copy.
But
we see on Glitch, and also like Glitch has been upgraded, which is a thing that the creator wrestler mentioned earlier. He's like, oh, Bob's fine, and Glitch has been upgraded. So Glitch actually looks different now.
Yeah,
and isn't broken anymore. It took 3 seasons, but
yeah, he looks a lot sleeker. Like he looks like a piece of tech from 2001
rather than 1994.
Yeah.
And but Glitch is doing something there.
Yeah, we see the like the code code transferal thing that we've seen Key Tools do in previous episodes.
Yep. And then it actually jumps away from them before they both get to say I do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to like this Bob very much, because like Bob like starts like writhing, like yelling in pain and like grasping his forearm, because this glitch is not interacting with this the code transferal isn't going the way that it should.
Yeah, he starts writhing in pain, so Glitch is doing something to him.
And so we see on Glitch's little screen, it's actually taking code away from this Bob
and transferring it to Glitch Bob, or web writer.
Well, yeah, it takes code from this Bob and stores it, and then it leaves this Bob and goes back to Cheetor Bob, and then the code transfer happens again, and we see it's like giving code to Cheetor Bob,
and he turns back to OG Bob,
and he gets reformatted back into the Bob we all know and love.
You know who else gets reformatted? Mega Bob.
Yeah, so he like starts like going ape shit and then morphs, and we get to see a like very upgraded and slightly web degraded and more monstrous looking bestial looking version of Megabyte. And I remember when I first saw this, I thought this was like the hypest shit ever. I'm like, holy fuck, this is like
it's Webbite.
This is like the most like badass looking version of Megabyte we've ever seen.
And how do you feel now?
I feel the exact same way. I love it.
There we go. Yeah. He's kind of like melty and degraded too, but like you said, like more monstrous, bestial, and he seems scarier, right?
Yeah, and the like it wasn't until I was watching it today that I actually really noticed the like the web degradation on him.
Yeah, around here, and his like jawline is almost like a melted metal effect.
Yeah, he looks like he's been burned and like slightly melted. It's cool. I really like it.
He's spooky.
Yeah.
And Dot is utterly horrified, as you can possibly imagine.
Right.
And I like how Megabyte is just very casually like, well, it seems my charade is at an end.
Classic Tony J. Miss that voice.
And Mouse is like, oh man, dang this dress. There's no space for a katana. Like, well, she says it more southern. There's no space for a katana. And I'm like, amazing.
Yeah. And Megabyte and Bob have a pretty fucking hype and pretty fucking hype battle.
Say what you want about season 4. This is the best choreographed Oh man, this is what you wanted, a fight between Bob and Megabyte to feel like.
Yeah,
They've had
like,
hype fights, but like not like this, man. Like
This is what
Marvel
we
movie production.
wanted, yeah, in Showdown in season 3, but we never really got it. But now we're getting it now. So
I don't know that fight, but that fist fight between Matrix and Megabyte in season 3 was pretty hype.
I dig I dig that. This is as good, maybe better than it.
This is more of a
they're
superhero.
close.
This is more of a superhero versus supervillain fight.
Yes.
I love how Bob makes like a wall out of the pipe organ that Megabyte throws him through, and it's
Yeah.
golden and it glows.
Oh
And just-
yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
I like
that's a hype fight.
I like when Megabyte grabs Bob and is like just starts running and fucking battering rams him through
They-
the pillars.
Through the pillars, yeah. That's the very superhero and supervillain moment. And like you said, Lady Glitch like makes like the shield out of the pipes from the organ.
Yeah.
But yeah, bashing Bob through like the thick marble columns.
Yeah.
Like, and Bob's fine after that. I'm like, holy shit. Go Bob. And he does like a somersault by like spiking off the ground, and he slams like Megabyte. Like, this is a slobber knocker.
Mm-hmm.
And Hack and or Slash are like, what? Wait a second. Like, who do we help? I don't know. I'm confused. And I'm like, wait, you guys have been good guys that haven't worked for Megabyte for a long time. You abandoned him like long ago. Why would you be?
Yeah, but
You guys
now
are good guys.
now he's back and he is mega powerful. So I can see why they might be a little afraid to might be a little conflicted, because they're like, oh well, you know,
Well, look how cool he is.
yeah. Actually, speaking of Hack and or Slash, one like little bit is when before the as the ceremony was just about to get started, like they were the ushers of the wedding and they were seating people, and the 3 of the crew members of the Saucy Mare show up, and they're like, "Oh, friends of the bride or the groom?" And they're like, both." And they're like, "Oh, well, do they sit? Which side do they sit on? Do they sit in the middle, in the aisle? Okay, let us show you to your floor." They're like, "No thanks, we'll seat ourselves."
Right.
I
What
was
do
just
they
reminded
say?
of that. That was a little let us see you to your floor. That is an example of like a throwaway line, that throwaway joke that I find really funny.
Sometimes the best comedy is in the like the minutia.
Yeah.
And how good an entire episode might just be sitting on the writer's shoulders.
Yeah.
So what happens here? They throw each other through walls.
They end up
almost
outside.
kill each other. They end up outside, and then eventually Bob is like, "Why did you do it?" And what does Megabyte say? He's like,
It amused me.
"It amused me," and I'm like,
I love it.
"You magnificent bastard!
You son of a bitch! You
were
son
gonna
of a
fucking-
bitch!
You son of a bitch! You were gonna fuck up before I was." Can you imagine?
Literally just for the lulz.
For the lulz. Man, that was a long ass charade. Damn.
He was playing the long game, and he was going to be giving Dot some of the long game later.
Oh man.
So
there's a line that's like when they're fighting and Megabyte dusts himself off and he's like, "You're much more powerful than when we last met."
and Bob's like, "I've been working out," which
I like that.
That is an OG season 1. That is a OG Bob comeback right there.
That's how we know it's
That's
OG
how we know
Bob,
this is the real Bob, back in black, so to speak.
That is very season 1 humor.
I've been working out.
I'm for it. I'm all for it. And what happens here? He kind of just like, does he actually Does he go and molest Dot, or did I imagine that?
No, he runs up to her and he forces a kiss on her, but then he goes back inside the principal office and
It was me, Megabyte.
he like he sees Specky, Scotty himself, and like looms over him, and the camera like cuts away, and then we see like Scotty like run out from behind the seats in the church. It's not really
Right,
a
because he
church,
tells everyone else, run while you can.
Oh, right,
And
yeah.
I'm like, why is he being
Everyone, run!
idiots? It's like they've been so in such peaceful times lately that they forgot what it's like to fear for their lives.
So Specky then runs out in terror after the camera like cuts away. And the gang like goes back inside the church, and they find Specky, and are like, oh, we found him. And someone is like, oh, well, I just saw him outside.
Oh, right. Sorry, yeah. Is this when like just Matrix and Bob go back inside after like a cross-country summoning like Mjolnir? Like Matrix summons his gun all the way across just like holding out his like hand until he catches his gun. I almost forgot he could do that. So I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, right. He has this like eye connection to his gun. We haven't seen it in a long time.
I love when he grabs gun and then he looks at Bob and he's like, Bob, welcome home.
Fuck yeah. Let's
Good
go.
line.
Let's go hunt a virus.
Lock and load.
I was pretty hype when they like walk in, like fucking Matrix in his suit, and yeah, hell yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah, you were saying.
So someone mentions that, oh, but Specky's already outside. I just saw him, and Specky inside like wakes up, and he's like, oh, is he gone? And Bob has this realization. He's like, that motherfucker. He's become a Trojan horse virus. He can shapeshift.
Shit.
And Doc's like, how?
Like,
how are we gonna catch it? Like, what? How are we gonna get him? And the episode ends with Bob being like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. What are you asking me for?
I just got back. And she's like, well, at least I'm glad I stopped the wedding before you two consummated it. And Dot's like, yeah. Yeah, we were saving it for marriage.
They undoubtedly boned before this, so imagine what kind of trauma Dot is going to be is going to have to live with for the rest of her life, knowing that she got nailed by Megabyte.
I was making a joke, but you're thinking, yeah.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh man,
110%.
Before
she
Bob
took
even
that.
Got it.
She took that mega cock.
She was like, "Why is the head red and the shaft is blue?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
Listen, baby,
this is a spicy episode.
It's just my Trojan Magnum XXL cock.
There we go. Full circle. Don't worry about it. And that's a wrap, folks.
That's the episode.
Yep.
Except for
here on Alphanumeric, we rate our episodes on a 4-tier rating system. From, see if I can remember this because I can never remember it week to week. This is bad, very bad. Said, I don't think so. Did I have that in reverse?
Nope, you're good.
No, you're doing good.
No, you were counting, so I didn't know if I fucked it up or
no.
not.
I'm counting along to the
Okay.
tiers.
The tiers from worst to best.
Thank you. And then a number 2 is fuck.
You already said number 2.
No, I didn't. Oh no, I'm going 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, restart.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Movie magic.
Yes, movie magic. Take 2. All right, here on Alphanumeric, we rate our episodes on a 4-tier rating system from worst to best, starting with this is bad, very bad, to I don't think so, to That Was Easy Enough. And at the top, we have alphanumeric. So, gents, let's start with you, NeoCal. What would you like to rate Null-Bot of the Brad?
I thought this was great. Alphanumeric.
All right.
There's usually follow-up, but I don't know. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like action, there's a wedding, there's representation.
There's punching.
We get to make a lot of spicy commentary. Alphanumeric.
This is also getting an alphanumeric from me. This is undoubtedly the best episode of season 4. This, if we like ramble off a list at the end of this podcast of our favorite episodes, top to bottom, this will definitely be in my top 10. I think this episode's great. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I love weddings. I really enjoyed this wedding. Had a lot of fun with it. Lots of like little comedic bits that I found really amusing. The fight at the end was great. The reveal of Megabyte was fucking hype.
It was decent. Oh, and I forgot. It actually wraps up like 3 things. Enzo's icon.
Yep.
The problem with Bob.
Yeah.
Like Glitch Bob. And like the whole who's the real Bob thing. So like, thank you, episode, for finally wrapping up like some questions.
Don't get too excited about things being wrapped up, though.
Is there a Magnum XXL joke in here coming?
There just might be. We'll get out the lube next week. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
But yeah. So big ass. A big ass bareback alphanumeric from me.
All right. And I'm also going to round out the ratings with an alphanumeric of my own. Very much like what you guys have all said. Like, this is just a bomb ass episode. So everything just kind of works. It still leaves questions to be answered in the next episode. And just fantastic watch. I was entertained.
Then it's unanimous.
Woo!
Excellent.
Is this the first unanimous alphanumeric rating of season 4?
Of season 4, yes, because we have done That Was Easy Enough as a group rating.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give a look over our listeners. You can just look over the episode descriptions because I always put the ratings in there.
Mm-hmm.
So go and check that out. Speaking of going and checking things out, that was number 50, episode 50 of Alphanumeric. Big ass milestone episode.
50. We did it.
It's our golden episode.
How many podcasts can say that they made it to 50 episodes? Lots of them. But how many indie podcasts can say that they have made it to 50 episodes? I heard somewhere a little while ago that the average indie podcast fizzles out after 3 episodes. So here we are.
It seems like a hot idea until you realize that
that it takes effort.
That it takes effort and
dedication.
Time.
And you know what? Sometimes you even have to watch the episode you're reviewing.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, not to
air my dirty.
I mean, to some people, that having to watch an episode that you're going to be talking about and reviewing on a podcast, watching it beforehand, to some people that is a bewildering concept.
You're asking too much, man.
Yeah. I'm 22. That's 22 minutes. Too much of someone's time. That's
too much.
Best way to support the show, go to Patreon. Patreon.com/lasercomb. I mentioned it earlier in the episode. Talked about preamble. $5 a month gets you preamble audio from each and every week. From this, Too Much Energon, our Beast Wars podcast, the Lasercomb podcast, and if we do commentary tracks, sometimes they're always preamble for that too. But you're getting hours each and every week of us kind of just shooting the shit, talking about this, that, or the other thing before we start becoming serious business and talking about Trojan Magnum XXL condoms on air. You also also at the $5 tier, you get our monthly-ish movie commentary track, Too Much Commentary. There's 6 of those out now. 4 of them are dedicated to Matrix movies. There's also a new show that we launched recently. It's only got 1 episode out so far, but we'll do another one this week called What Are You Watching? It's kind of just a show. It's a spin-off of the preamble where we just talk about what stuff we've been watching week in and week out. I have things to talk about next time we record. Because I've been watching a lot of stuff in the past few days, including a show that me and Cal are both fond of that recently just wrapped its first season.
Yeah, we've held off on talking too much about that, so we're gonna let loose.
The $10 tier on Patreon gets you all of that. Also gets you our weekly-ish. It might be moving to bi-weekly soon because we've only been doing it once every couple of weeks for the past like month or two now. Lasercomb Tonight. News and current events. Also at the $10 tier, I mentioned the Lasercomb podcast, which is a podcast where me and Cal basically do what we just did here, but about a truly random episode of a TV show. And if you're a $10 patron, you get to pick a TV show for us to do that about. So if you want to get in on that, Patreon's the place to do it. Patreon.com/lasercomb. On social media, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB, once again. Or you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow the show proper at ALPHANUMERIC Pod, or you can follow me at Lasercomb for the third and final time, LAZORCOMB. Lady Glitch, they can follow you at
Lady Glitch 619.
And Cal, they can follow you at
Follow me on the Twitter at NeoCal, NEO_KAL.
We will be back next week with episode 51 of Alphanumeric, where we will be talking about the final episode of ReBoot, Crouching Binome Hidden Virus. That episode title kind of makes me cringe a little bit.
It makes me
roll. It kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit.
Are they going to be stealing the Emerald Destiny? Emerald Dream? What's the magic sword in that movie?
I don't know. I saw it once, like in
Same.
2005. So keep an eye out for that. And until then, we're going to get out of here. So I have been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And
Lady Glitch.
I've been NeoCal.
Yeah, that's Jesus Christ. Okay, that's NeoCal. I'm Lady Glitch, and until next time.
And
stay frosty.
Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride.
Swear to God.
Doobie doobie doo. Do 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 do. There we go. Royalty free.
I was gonna say we're gonna get hit by YouTube's copyright cops for that.
I went off so far off that there's no way that could accidentally be misconstrued for someone being in tune.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the power of the algorithm, son.
Oh shit.
Anyway, bye-bye.
Bye.